Just one tool in a very integrative approach. So let's
Right.
dive a little bit into the pathophysiology of why hyperbarics works. And
Sure.
once we dive into that, then we can start to understand why, there's just so many indications of what it is. So can you first explain to, some of the audience that is going to be listening to this have no medical background at all. So what exactly is hyperbaric oxygen?
Well, you keep giving me the pun over and over again, which is diving into hyperbaric oxygen therapy, because we call each treatment in a hyperbaric chamber a dive.
Right.
So hyperbaric therapy actually originated as a treatment for the bends or the decompression illness, which can happen if divers come up too fast from the surface. And this happened back in the 1880s when they were building bridges and other underwater projects like that. And they realized that if they put people inside of a pressurized environment that simulated the pressure that they felt under a certain amount of seawater, that their symptoms would often go away if they didn't die ahead of time, of course. But hyperbaric therapy is a very simple technology. It really combines increased atmospheric pressure and increased inspired oxygen. And so I like to think about oxygen first, because we all know that that's kind of a big deal. Right. At sea level, where most of us are, I'm at 5,000 feet, but at sea level, you have 21% oxygen in the air that you breathe. At 5,000 feet where I am, it's about 16% oxygen in circulation or in the air that you breathe. The rest of it is mostly nitrogen. And we typically carry oxygen on red blood cells. Red blood cells are the cells that carry oxygen from our lungs, where we breathe in and we pick up the oxygen. They go on the red blood cell, and then they go diffuse into the rest of your body throughout your blood vessels and your miles and miles of blood vessels that you have that allow us to get oxygen to tissues. And then once the oxygen gets to your cells, it gets to the area of your cell called the mitochondria, which is a very specialized organelle that allows you to make ATP, which is the currency of energy. And so typically oxygen carrying capacity is relegated to how many red blood cells you have in circulation, because exercise can increase the amount of oxygen that's kind of pumping through because you're getting more blood flow going through, but you have a number of red blood cells in circulation and there's a finite number. So typically when we talk about oxygen carrying capacity, we talk about increasing the number of red blood cells in circulation. You can do that by going altitude training, because hypoxia actually increases a hormone called epigen, which stimulates the production of new red blood cells in circulation. You could also be like Lance and have one testicle, just kidding, or just or take epigen, and you actually can take it exogenously or take it as a subcutaneous injection. That's also going to increase the red blood cell mass, the number of red blood cells in circulation. But there's also another way to increase oxygen carrying capacity, and that's actually to diffuse oxygen directly into the bloodstream or the plasma itself. And that's where pressure comes into it. So we increase atmospheric pressure in the chamber because that atmospheric pressure actually drives oxygen not only onto the red blood cells, but also into the plasma or to the liquid of your blood. Typically, the liquid of your blood has very little oxygen in it at sea level. And if we increase the amount of pressure on your lungs when you're breathing, so we simulate the pressure that you'd feel under a certain amount of seawater, that actually is going to drive oxygen, liquid oxygen, directly into the plasma or the liquid of your blood. And you can get up to about 1,200% more oxygen in circulation that way as compared to sea level. So in a hyperbaric chamber, you're increasing the amount of pressure in the chamber by simulating the amount of seawater you're under. And the second thing you're doing is increasing the amount of inspired oxygen that you're breathing, usually 21% up to about 100% oxygen that you're breathing. You combine those things together, you get a lot more oxygen in circulation.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Thrive State podcast. And if this podcast is bringing a lot of value to you, if you find that your life is just improving with this podcast, that your life is getting to the next level, please consider supporting it. And here's a few ways you can do so. You can do so by liking this video and commenting on this video, and also sharing this video with your friends and family. Another thing you can do is go to ratethispodcast.com/ThriveState. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review there. It will really, really help this show grow. And this will give me more time so that I could actually give more content to you, just like you got in this episode. And if you haven't already picked up a copy of my book, Thrive State, Your Blueprint for Optimal Health, Longevity, and Peak Performance, you can pick it up now. It became a #1 new release in longevity. Go to thrivestatebook.com. And if you enjoy the book, please consider leaving us a review as well. And the last thing you can do, if you're liking everything here and you want to work more closely with me as well as my team to get you into the Thrive state, go to kienvu.com/accelerator and consider joining the home course, the Thrive State Accelerator. It's really the course that I use. It's the concepts that I use personally when I work with CEOs, celebrities, and my high-profile clients to get them to the Thrive state. Again, the Thrive State Accelerator at kienvu.com/accelerator. And because you're a listener of this podcast, I want you to save 25% by using the coupon code podcast25. I hope we continue to give value to you. And remember always, you are your best medicine.